15. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra is remembered as one of the best singers and actors of his time. He seemed full of charm and confidence, but deep inside he faced personal struggles. Frank had times when he felt anxious and depressed, though he often hid these feelings. Friends say that behind the tough image, he sometimes shared his troubles quietly. One story tells of a night after a big concert, when he just sat alone, thinking, instead of celebrating. The deep feelings that helped him sing so beautifully were the same ones that brought him pain. Sinatra's life shows that even those who seem to have it all can still struggle inside. His story reminds us that a person's public image can be very different from what they feel deep down. 16. Clark Gable. Clark Gable was called the King of Hollywood. He had a strong screen presence and was loved by many. But behind that confident smile, he had moments of sadness and depression. Some say that during the hardest times in his career, Clark carried silent pain. People recall how his cheerful looks could quickly turn quiet and thoughtful. The pressure to stay popular and strong often weighed him down. His story teaches us that even the strongest heroes can feel lost and sad sometimes. What we see on the screen is not always what's going on inside. 17. Lana Turner. Lana Turner lit up the screen with her beauty and powerful acting. She became one of Hollywood's brightest stars, but her private life wasn't easy. Reports say she often felt sad and lonely, especially during tough times. Though she was always smiling at events, people close to her said she sometimes felt alone. Even in a crowd, she rarely let the public see her pain, but it was there. Lana's story reminds us that people who seem to have perfect lives might still feel empty inside. Fame doesn't protect anyone from emotional struggles. 18. Peter Lorre. Peter Lorre was famous for his strange voice and creepy characters. His unique look made him stand out, but inside, he was a kind and sensitive man. Peter dealt with depression and anxiety during his life. People who worked with him said that he would sometimes talk about how lonely and worried he felt. Though he played spooky roles, he was gentle in real life. His story shows that sometimes people who act tough or mysterious are actually dealing with deep pain. We should be kind to those who hide their true feelings. 19th. Edward G. Robinson. Edward G. Robinson played tough guys in many movies. He looked fearless on screen, but off-screen, he had his own quiet struggles. Edward sometimes felt depressed, especially during hard moments in life. People said he would often sit alone on movie sets, looking sad or deep in thought. Even though he looked strong, he had feelings he didn't always share. His story tells us that people who seem brave might still carry pain, and that being kind and understanding matters more than we think. 20. Charles Laughton. Charles Laughton was known for his powerful acting and ability to change himself for any role. But he had emotional struggles, especially with depression. His co-workers shared stories about how he would sometimes write his feelings down in a private notebook after a long day. He often got quiet and thoughtful, showing how deeply he felt things. Charles's pain gave his acting great depth, but it also made life harder. His story reminds us that creativity and sadness often go hand in hand, and that it's okay to ask for help. 21st. Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas was seen as a tough, strong man in movies, but later in life he talked about feeling sad and depressed at times. Even though he looked powerful, he had quiet battles he kept to himself for many years. One memory people share is how, after doing very hard movie roles, he would think deeply about his life choices and feel a heavy weight. His honest talks about mental health helped others feel less alone. Kirk Douglas's story shows us that even the strongest people have weak moments, and speaking up is brave. 22nd. Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck was famous for playing good and wise characters. He looked calm and strong on screen, but in real life, he sometimes felt sad inside. He was a thoughtful and caring person, and that made him more open to feeling pain. People say that after tough scenes, he would find a quiet place to sit and think. His acting was so deep because he really felt the emotions. Gregory Peck teaches us that being strong doesn't mean hiding your feelings. It means facing them with care and courage. 23. William Holden. William Holden won hearts with his good looks and friendly smile, but behind that charm he had moments of sadness and depression. The stress of fame and the need to always look perfect sometimes made him feel very alone. Friends said that even in happy places he sometimes looked distant or troubled. He didn't often speak about his pain, but those who knew him saw it. William Holden's story is a reminder that people can hide their sadness very well, and we should treat everyone with care and respect. 24th, Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was the bold, daring star of many action films. He looked fearless and full of life. But behind that wild image, he struggled with anxiety and depression. In his later years, he looked back on his life and realized that his fast lifestyle had taken a toll on his health and emotions. People say that even when he was smiling and laughing, he sometimes felt very alone. His story is about how fun and adventure can hide pain, and why it's important to care for both body and mind. 25th, Anthony Quinn. Anthony Quinn was known for his deep emotions and powerful acting. He looked strong and full of fire on screen, but inside he had his own painful struggles. Friends said that even though he played bold roles, he sometimes talked about the sadness he felt off screen. His acting often came from real pain, and that gave it great power. Anthony's story shows that powerful art often comes from deep emotion. It also shows us that even the strongest hearts can feel broken, and we should always show support and kindness. What part of these stories touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments section.